All right, we're here. We got Horace Bray. Yeah, baby.
Hey,
Okay,
thanks for
so
having me.
of course, dude. Are you kidding me? I'm stoked. I want to show you something because I was talking to Matt Smith about it and I was trying to find it. Look at these photos I found.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
I
That's
have
cr
that one and then I have this one,
wow.
which is just funny because like Bruno's there and Santo, my
Yeah.
friend, is there who he lost his hair at this time. So this is him with no hair.
Does
Mac
he
is
have hair
there.
now?
Yeah, he like had alopecia for a minute. It was weird.
Oh, I didn't realize it could be intermittent.
Yeah, I don't know. Me
Oh,
neither. Anyways, and Nina's here. Rest in peace,
yeah.
Nina.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin's there. Anyways, it's just funny. Mac, all these guys, Peter, Lexi. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, Lexi.
So I was just cracking up because I was like, oh, I gotta find these photos because the one with your head is dipping. Like I remember that one.
Yeah, because what? That was like 2016 or something?
I mean,
2015?
it had to have been a while ago, honestly, because that was that place, Busalaki's, was kind of where I started my Monday session, which later went to Rosie's. So
Hmm.
you were at like the original, like for the people here in San Diego that know a little bit, like
Hmm.
Rosie's was a cool session, but you were at the one before Rosie's.
That's wild. And that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
That's the really wild part.
So what have you been up to? I know you're shredding, you're doing cool stuff. I got questions because I seen people you've been playing with. I've been watching your videos. I follow you, dude.
I've been seeing yours as well. I haven't played a minor one in months. You know, I'm trying to be good. Uh, Dude, I've been good. I was kind of like I was touring a lot the last 2 years.
Mm.
This year, like I took a couple months off and then ended up jumping into like some tours in like June. And then since then, I have like a bunch of my projects that I've been trying to wrap up that have like I loosely started last year and then yeah.
Nice.
And then so there's like three, there's one that's like mixed and mastered, one that is almost mixed, and then one where like the studio and the musicians are booked and we're gonna like record it in early December.
Hell yeah. So you just got like a bunch of your stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, yeah, a bunch of instrumental music.
Nice, dude. That's great. I can't wait to check it out. That's something I need to focus some more on. That's great, man. Like what I mean, all right, I have to ask you this though first because I saw you've been playing with Maggie Rogers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool, dude. My lady loves Maggie Rogers.
Oh,
So do
she's the
I.
best.
But I mean that's pretty cool. I mean, what is it like? What is it like playing with some of these gigs? Are you? Is it? It seems like it's really busy though, huh? Like I feel like that's on tours. Like kind of that's like a grind too, though. People don't realize.
Yeah, it's a grind. There's a lot of like hurry up and wait kind of mentality where there's like they really need you for like there's like an hour for the sound check. I mean, and then the show.
Mhm.
That one's that was probably the biggest like I guess yeah, the biggest tour I've been on, but also like the first tour where like every box was checked. Like, there were like two guitar techs, there was a drum tech, a keyboard tech, there were a bunch of stagehands that were traveling. It was like I think 4 or 5 buses
It's like
and
a
then like
whole
five or
show.
six semis.
Wow.
So it was full production. So it was a little funny because I've known everyone in that band for a really long time except for I didn't know the bassist and music director Brian, and I didn't know the guitar player that I was stepping in for,
Okay.
Brendan. Which really, unfortunately, what how it came about was Brendan just by a fluke landed on his foot weird when they were like playing basketball before a show, and it's just like his tendon got really messed up with his Achilles and he like powered through it for a sec, but then he ended up making the call that like he needed to have someone else come in and fill in for him. So I got the call on basically Wednesday morning, and then I was on the flight to go to the show on Thursday morning.
Holy shit.
For me, it was a little bit of a hustle because it was like, needed to get together 20 songs. Luckily they already had the Kemper stuff already programmed and we just had to tweak it a little bit for my guitars, but literally that is the first time I've actually just had to learn the songs on the flight because I was like fully booked that
Yeah.
Wednesday. So I just like got a flashcard app and like was just quizzing myself on the keys and like the parts. Like on the flight, I had a
Wow.
long layover in Dallas. So I just like
Sat
took a
there.
nap for a second and then just had like 3 hours of just grilling myself. And then we ran the songs. We ran half the set that night and then the other half that next morning. And then the show was that Friday.
Sick.
So it was a quick one, but it was amazing. Maggie is amazing, super easy to work with, super musical, like killing singer, and like
Yeah.
very, very. I don't want to say surprisingly good guitar player and keyboard player, but like holds it down,
Wow.
like for real. Um, and the whole team was great. Yeah,
That's
I
sick, dude.
honestly like there's no weak place in it.
That's so cool. You know
Yeah.
what? It's so funny that you say that situation, the way it happened, because there's like this running joke with all my friends, like, that guy Santo is the one who gives me the most hard time because he doesn't play music, so he just hears us talking, and he's like, I don't know, man, I gotta go. I got like 30 church songs to learn, and I got a gig, and he just like always makes fun of me. But that's literally what happened to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, but like sometimes that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool, man. And for you to be able to like, sit down and just learn all that stuff and listen on the way there, it's like that's what they're paying you for, man. That's sick. Congrats.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
That's super cool, man. So what are some other cool things you've been doing that you're into that like we don't know about?
Ooh.
Are you in LA still?
Yeah, I'm in
Okay.
LA. Basically this year, the last 2 years I was playing a lot with Blue to Tiger and Dove Cameron.
Okay.
Those are kind of the main people I was playing
You
with.
got to school me. I don't know. I
Blue
should
to
know
Tiger
this,
is
but
like
I
a
don't.
really sick, like kind of funky bass player and singer. It's kind of
Okay.
like indie dance pop, but like kind of also gets a little jammy sometimes, which is
Okay.
really fun. It was me, her, and her brother.
Sick.
And I ended up like kind of departing from that camp at the top of the year just because like scheduling and just logistics and it didn't like make sense to stay kind of their main guy. But and then Dove Cameron is kind of in between album cycles right now, but I'll play with her a lot when she's doing her stuff. She's like ex-Disney, really dark, kind of like badass pop. Like
Mm,
it's cool. It's cool. It's like dark and grimy and like kind
nice.
of grew off. It's almost like growing off of like where Portishead left off,
Oh,
but if it were more pop,
okay.
but it has that like kind of sinister quality to it.
Hell yeah.
Um, and then this past year, I was doing like a lot of random one-offs with Jordan Sparks,
Okay.
who's amazing, amazing singer that was
Mm-hmm.
on, I think, American Idol back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
or The Voice, one of those two. And
Yeah.
then yeah, and then the Maggie gig.
Sick, dude. And then when you're in town, because I have a friend, Kevin, who is in that photo also. That's hilarious. He plays with Jeff Rosenstock,
Cool.
who's like this like rock and roll punk. I don't know what you call it, but they're really cool. And then he also plays with what's the other band? I don't know. I can't keep track of these gigs he does. Anyways, he goes on the road and he's like playing, and then he comes back and he's like, "Hey, bro, I'm in town. Can I play some gigs?" I'm like, "Of course, dude." And he cracks me up because he'll be going to play like this punk stuff and on the road, and he's just shredding. And then he comes back and then just like plays the best jazz drums, and it just cracks me up. I'm sure you
Yeah.
do that too.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because there's a certain funny thing that happens where it's like the bigger gigs you get,
Uh-huh.
you come back and like people just assume you're like either not down or like you're too
Right,
busy to do like, oh, he doesn't want to do this like $500 cocktail
right,
thing.
right.
I'm like, no, please, I do, yes. Um, or I hear engineers talk about that a lot as well, where it's like they finally get their Grammy award winning engineering album And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, everyone just assumes they're out of their budget.
Wow.
So they get called less once they get the accolade, which, fortunately I have a very good like kind of crew and network of people in town. So I've been trying to make a bunch of music with friends since I've been back.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is like I feel like I hire a lot of people, so I tend to get the phone calls like, "Hey, I'm back in town. You just let you know what's up." I'm like, "All right, cool." Like I love when people do that, especially when it's
Yeah,
like people
yeah.
I know. It's like, "Oh, all right, cool, man. That just now I could, yeah, for sure. Like I got stuff for you." So
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah, because if I think about it, it's like as long as you're not like weird about
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
like, hey man, if you ever need a sub, like that type of weird energy. Um, I don't know. I feel like there are way more times that I wish I would have known someone was in town because I
Mm,
fully would have called them first, but I just assumed they were gone.
right.
Then I am like in situations where I'm like, damn, that dude, that was a weird vibe. He told me he was in town and would love to play, you know? Like
Yeah.
I feel like we worry that people think that's weird, but it's really like we're all just doing this because we like making music with our
Yeah,
friends.
and honestly, man, that's a good point. Actually, like I'm sure some of my students might watch this, so that's a good thing to keep in mind. Actually, like especially if you know, like you're saying, like if you know the person and you guys have a rapport, it's like there's nothing wrong with that. I like that. It makes it easier. But that's cool, man.
Yeah, as long as it's coming from a place of like genuinely just wanting to make more sick music with sick people.
Right, right.
If you let it be feel ego-y, then that's I think when
Yeah,
it
I
feels.
get you. Yeah. So you got these original things. I'm gonna check them out. One is already out,
Yeah,
or
well,
no?
one
I'm
of them's
sorry.
coming out in the fall.
One's recorded, and then one you're getting ready to
One's
record.
recorded, mixed, mastered, have the album art. That's gonna be like October, November. I'm sending it to like Distro this week.
Nice. So
Um,
how do you? Because honestly, I that's just something that I need to do. You're lighting a fire under me. Like I need to sit down. I have ideas. I have things that I want to work on, and tune ideas, whatever that may be. How do you do it? Like when you always, I like comedy. I watch these guys talk about comedy. I don't do
yeah.
comedy, but like I do music. Like maybe you do it differently than I do. Like how do you approach when you write or do stuff like this or be creative or I don't know.
I don't know. I've kind of had a funny trajectory around it because right when we first met, I put out my first album,
Okay.
which is called Dream State, which is like kind of,
Right.
yeah, it's that like, super kind of cerebral modern jazz energy. Um, and I like put that out. I was doing like little runs. I was playing a lot of the music with Mackenzie and Matt,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was such like a crazy fun time. And then I got really inspired to move to New York City. And I
That's
moved to New
right.
York and was like playing like at Bar Next Door and like 55 Bar and got burnt
Hmm.
out on the instrumental music because it's
Okay.
like as I'm sure you've probably experienced sometimes it can be a little hyper masculine, a little hyper athletic.
Yeah, it can be
and
if that's all you're doing.
and it was like I was just struggling to align it with like where my values were like creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd go to like Rockwood Music Hall back when that was like one of like the spots.
Right.
And I would just get wrecked. I remember I moved to New York and I saw the singer Julia Easterlin perform, and I like haven't cried that hard in public, maybe ever.
Yeah.
So that really like ended up lighting a fire under me to like pursue the singer-songwriter music that I've been like
Mm.
I've always like written songs and stuff, but then I really wanted to like go into it. And then that kind of started a couple years where I was putting out a lot of singer-songwriter projects. So it was a little bit of like an adjacent turn to where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was kind of between 2017 and 2021 or 2020. There was like basically like three EPs that I did. And and then it was like that felt like a really good exercise, but I was really just like missing like just being like creating through guitar.
Mm-hmm.
That was really where I felt like my voice was. Every time I was singing, I felt like I was a guitar player that was like trying to sing, And I couldn't shake it. And it was like I don't know, I feel like I had to have some like really real talks with myself where it's like I love writing songs. I love lyrics. I love singing,
Uh-huh.
but I don't love how building my career around that feels. There was a really big, like, kind of full circle moment where I was just like, I'm like, oh, I needed to like, it felt like
Ah,
almost like the book The Alchemist, where you just end up right back where
where you
you
started.
started,
Yeah.
not to, no spoilers, but you know, um, yeah. So then I ended up moving all my singer-songwriter music over to this moniker HBray, obvious thing, just because I didn't want to get rid of it and I didn't want to like fully divorce it, but for the algorithm's sake, I felt like it made a little more sense to keep the Horace Bray stuff instrumental. And then I had this moment where I got done. I was like kind of wrapping up my time with the Blue to Tiger camp. It's like we didn't have like that many shows on the books, but we had like a couple more. And it was this was probably like a year ago. And I was just like, I want to put out music again. I feel
Mm.
like those last 2 years, while they were a blast, it was just like life pressed fast forward. And it was like, you know, being like, oh, like I don't even know how many times I flew. It was a lot of like doing festivals every weekend. And it was like sometimes doing 3 festivals in a weekend where it's like you fly and then you do one Saturday, you do one Saturday,
Mm.
fly Friday, fly Saturday, fly
Wow.
Sunday, then you come back Monday.
Yeah, that's
So
a
it was a
lot.
lot of like fast forward, and then I'm like, oh God, like I'm about to turn 32,
Hmm.
and I feel like I'm not doing the thing I care the most about. I was doing things that I cared a lot about, but not the thing that I cared the most about.
Hmm.
So I started working with my friend Dan, and I thought it would be Dan Lampritis, who's like a really amazing producer, and I wanted to kind of approach an instrumental guitar album in a similar way that I would have approached like a singer-songwriter or like a pop session, where we went in, we were just like trying to come up with things that sounded cool, and then we ended up building these collages of like sections, and then like it would be like, maybe we get a couple ideas together, and then I do a playthrough that had all of them in one take, and then I do the drums and then the bass and the keyboards and go back and like double the lead lines.
Hmm.
And it ended up turning into this really cool 8-song project that's called To Wash Upon the Shore. And it's kind of like meant to feel like you're reading a short story.
Mm. Nice.
Yeah. So that was the thing that really inspired me. I'm like, oh, okay, this is really fun. And I'm like not nearly as mean to myself throughout this process like I am with the singer stuff. So so I'm like very sustainable, very fun. I feel really excited about it. So then I did oh, I guess like shortly before that, I recorded a solo guitar EP,
Nice.
like compositions for the acoustic guitar. So that came out. I
I
was
think I
finishing up
saw some
Watch
of
Upon the
that.
Shore. Yeah, that one's called Small Songs.
Okay.
So after that, I've kind of hit the ground running where, I just recorded this duo EP with this pianist, Ahmed Alom, who's like this Cuban American jazz classical, amazing, just incredible piano player.
Hmm.
So much facility and so much like groove.
So you
And so
did duo?
yeah, we played duo. We went in the studio for one day and wrote a song, recorded it, and did that like 4 times.
So you just did undercurrent vibes. Sick.
Yeah, basically. Um, yeah, so I'm really stoked about that. And then this album in the fall that I'm recording is a working title, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be called 10-Year Cycle because it's going to be about 10 years since Dream State came out. And it's
Ah.
the album that is most like that one.
Okay. Nice, dude. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you have a little storyline to your life. It's nice.
It ended up that way. It didn't feel like it in the moment. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I hope in retrospect this feels cohesive.
That's cool, man. So what? I mean, that's cool music stuff. So what is like stuff that you do that I wouldn't know about that's not music, maybe, or maybe it is. I don't know.
I mean, one thing that I do that is music that you may not know about is I have like a couple lo-fi kind of instrumental playlist music monikers
Okay.
that I actually like really, really love the music that's coming out on there. But one of them is called Felty, Felty, and then another one, the sleepier one, is called Recalibration Machine.
Okay.
So I started those a couple years ago, and that's been like a big part of like my like production stuff where,
Cool.
you know, I can't even tell you how many songs have come out on both of those projects, but usually like between like 20 and 30 maybe 20 a year.
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, like every 2 weeks I try to have a release on at least on Felty.
So, damn, dude. So how do you manage your time like doing this every week? Like how I'm sure it's not, well, I don't know, you tell me. Maybe you have like, do you have like consistency of you do this every day, or you do this every week, or you just feeling it? Like, how are you doing this?
I mean, I feel like I'm someone that it's funny because I feel like I'm someone that naturally like structure doesn't come naturally. Like when I was a kid, I was
Okay.
like could not get my homework done on time, like could not do any time management. I would like miss stuff all the time. Um, and because of that, I had to develop these tools of like, okay, if it doesn't go in my calendar, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But now my calendar is like insane.
Yeah.
Like like every like Sunday I'll go through and I'll schedule when I'm going to go to the gym that week.
Hmm.
And like, usually every morning like I kind of have a good routine of like I make my coffee, I do like a little office hour where I respond to all my emails and kind of plan out the day. Um yeah, it's kind of weird because some weeks it's like very production heavy where I'm like, okay, I have like these three lo-fi hip hop projects that I'm gonna get all this tracking done for, and I'll like put those blocks in my schedule
Okay.
and then try to, I don't know, it's kind of been crazy recently where I'm like, I don't really have an hour that isn't accounted for.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. I feel like, yeah, honestly, I feel like there's a stereotype of like, the guitar player that like is kind of out
Mhm.
of his mind. Like, oh, he just plays guitar. And it's like, nah, but it's also like for what you're describing, it's like, it's very regimented, or it's like, you're getting a lot of stuff done, and maybe it takes form in different ways in different
Yeah.
times. Cause that happens to me too. I can relate to that where,
Yeah, like you have different seasons, like
right. Seasons. That's a good
yeah.
word. Yeah.
Yeah, but usually it's like I'll do a little bit more of like planning stuff in the mornings, maybe get coffee with a friend. I've been trying to catch up with all the people I haven't been able to see the last couple months.
Nice.
Then do either tracking or like go to the gym or, get some life stuff done in the middle of the day, maybe teach some lessons.
Hmm.
Then at night, either try to go to a show or play a gig, or I usually don't do my busy work at night. I found that like that's just kind of it's a crapshoot when I try to do that.
Mm.
But yeah, and then I'll go through phases where like maybe I'm seeing less people, but I'm like practicing a lot more Bach, and that Bach becomes people. Um, but yeah, I try to be pretty structured with it though.
Nice. So what are, like, speaking of this practicing, like what are stuff you're kind of focusing on right now, if you have any, or like what are, like, for me, for example, it's all these stupid videos that I make that I think are hilarious, but like,
Oh, I love them so much.
hey, I'm gonna send you a T-shirt.
Please do.
I'm
Yes,
making T-shirts, bro,
you gotta.
for both camps, of course.
Mhm.
I love the whole.
Yeah, you
back
gotta
and
make money
forth.
on both sides.
Yeah, come on, dude. I love it. It's so funny to me. Um, but anyway, so like there's things that I'm kind of doing. I'm just curious, like, what are some little scheme? Like, whenever I call Matt, or he calls me sometimes, he'd be like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" And I just be like, he's like, "What? I'm just seeing what's going on. What are you scheming on right now?" And it's
Yeah.
just funny because we'll chat about whatever. And so I'm like, what do you do? Like, what do you got going right now? Like, I'm just curious.
So I've been really dialing it back to fundamentals.
Okay,
That's
sick.
been like
I love it.
that's been my big thing. Like I had this moment that really sparked a lot of practicing where I was at a friend's house and like it was like kind of like a music hang for a guitar friend's birthday party, and they're like, "Oh,
Cool.
someone grab the guitar and play Happy Birthday." And grabbed it, played Happy Birthday, but definitely had to like think a little harder than I expected because it's easy for people to forget.
Yeah.
Happy Birthday is not the easiest. It's not as easy as you ever remember it being.
Uh huh.
Because like starts on the 5 or starts on like the 5th of
Yeah.
of the scale,
Right. Right.
and then you get the crazy like Lydian thing da da at the end. So what I did, I was like, okay, in my shame after I got home from the party, I'm just like, I'm gonna play Happy Birthday perfectly.
Yeah.
Easy enough assignment. And I went to do it and I was just like, oh, that actually like my tone wasn't super consistent. And like obviously we all know this melody so well. So the only thing that could be in the way
Mm.
is the connection between the mind and the hand.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, this is like a really surprising way to kind of see where the grime is built up and where there are cobwebs.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna play Happy Birthday 10 times in a row perfectly. And if I
Mm.
make a mistake, I'm gonna like just start
Start
over.
over. Yeah.
And just like kind of having it be a mantra because it's actually really not that lame of a song.
No,
It's
it's
kind
not.
of it plays a lot like a bluegrass tune.
And it literally does all the important movements that you want to teach anyone ever.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I got to where I could do it 10 times and like the tone was good because I realized like, oh, like this one shift is like a little weird. And I'm like, okay, what's the next simplest version of it? Where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna play the roots as they're moving
Uh,
with the melody.
cool.
It's like a
Perfect.
very, very simple counterpoint.
Right.
Fucking got humbled immediately. like, like got my ass kicked just because it's like I couldn't make it sound as mindful and as beautiful as I wanted it to. And I'm
Right.
like, okay, well, there's obviously some like gold in here. So I've kind of expanded that out where like I'll do maybe like I'll improvise, but I'll only be able to improvise using the triads, and I have to like start and end every note with a melody note.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of like the Wes. I don't know. There's that one like Wes Montgomery solo that I feel like it's around midnight where it's like everything is just like starts and ends on a melody note.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Happy Birthday. That's the big
Dude, you're hilarious.
yeah. Do it in a different key every day. Uh, because like it's easy to do it in A,
Right.
but like you do it in C sharp, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh dang, like I really don't know. And to like have the note names and then the
Right.
and like the scale degrees like really in your head as you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then even doing a thing where it's like you start off just with the melody and you slowly, I don't know which way it's going to go on your screen, but like you slowly ramp up the complexity, just let your mind wander.
Right.
And eventually it gets kind of chaotic and you find that edge where you're starting to slip over and like you don't feel like you're not in control, but like you feel like you're riding that line of
Hmm.
balance. And then you see if you can slowly bring it back. Like, kind of a more approachable version of that Lenny Tristano exercise that like I think he wrote a lot about doing that with all the things you are.
Oh, okay. I
It's like
think
the
I know what you're
first
talking
eight
about.
measures of all the things you are. But just similar to that, just taking a simple melody, finding your edge, and then bringing it back,
Okay.
and then going through that process, like even if you do it once a day,
Hmm.
it's really humbling and honestly made everything else more difficult. Like I went to like practice my harmonic minor arpeggios or
Right.
whatever, and then I'm like, oh, this like I feel way more connected, and they feel like melodies again.
Right. I like that. I like that's nice. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I've been kind of thinking the same thing just like when I'm playing gigs and like playing improvising. I'm like, man, I'm trying to figure out ways to just like it's kind of what you were saying like the mind body connection.
Hmm.
And it's like trying to think of ways to like really relax more and just like really be fluid and through your creative whatever you want to call it. So it's just funny how yeah, the way that you're describing it, it's funny how your mind does go back to the basics where you're like, man, I really should work this out some more.
Yeah, dude, I've been having some really interesting thoughts on like tension.
Hmm.
That's the other kind of
Like, what is
fixation
it?
that I've
Wait,
been
tell
getting.
me. What, like what?
So I feel like this there's so many things that I've learned that start this way, but like I heard Julian Lage say one sentence,
Okay. I mean, he's the guy
and he
that'll do
was
it.
like, it was let's see, it was an interview with that. I think he's a Swedish or Norwegian YouTuber,
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
the blonde
With the
haired,
beard?
blondish. Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his
yeah,
name, but I know.
and he was just like, He was just like, yeah, it always bugs me when people talk about how you need to not be tense when you're playing guitar. Guitar is a
Oh,
tense
I
thing.
saw that clip.
And
Yeah.
I was just like, it is. And then I really thought about that for a couple days
Uh-huh.
because it's really easy. It's like if you tell your arm to relax, you'll never fully relax. It's kind of
Hmm.
that Alexander technique thing where if you have shame for when you notice tension and that's your reaction to tension, it'll only ever like you might be able to force it down, but it'll come right back up.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Because you're doing an addition, you're adding energy to try to subtract energy
Ah.
instead of letting it just like be and let it naturally subside, which it
Hmm.
wants to do.
Hmm.
Um, and like letting it just rise and fall. Because I feel like where a lot of times we get injured and stuff like that is when we're like forcing the tide to go in either direction instead of letting it naturally
Instead of
just
riding
flow.
it. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny because I've kind of been coming to that conclusion. I just haven't been able to articulate it. And you kind of nailed it.
Which it's like I hate to be like it's a lot like life, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like, you know, there's sometimes you like hear someone play and they'll ask you like how to be a better improviser, and it's hard to say like, oh, you know, it's more that you're just not being nice to yourself than it is you don't know your scales.
Mm.
So we've all seen that before where like you can feel like this like the weird relationship with their self through
Hmm.
their playing.
Yeah.
Um, And then there's also people like Julian where you can fully hear what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what's
and I think
weird? Oh, sorry. Go.
oh no, I was just saying I think it's like really interesting where we all can't be Julian or we don't want to be like VJ Iyer like these people they all sound like them because they're letting or at least they don't like we don't have the option.
Hmm.
So you're just going to sound like you. So if you, I feel like it's less of a trying to force yourself into a idealized version of yourself and just letting yourself
Being your,
be.
yeah.
You end up in the spot that you were trying to go to in the
Yeah.
first
The
place.
whole time. It's like your circle thing.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, dude, it's crazy.
the joke that life, it's as soon as you forget what the punchline to the joke is, life will tell you it again.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I was playing this solo gig yesterday and like I was kind of in the zone and like I was just playing tunes and playing and I had this moment where I was like, am I even playing? I was like, I feel like I was just watching myself play kind of. Like obviously I couldn't stop, so it's like I had to play. But I just had this
Yeah.
weird moment where I was like, well, this is weird. I feel like I'm almost not I was like trying to not think about anything and it was like still happening,
Yeah.
which I think is good. I don't know. It was just I had this weird moment.
I mean, it's not bad, but I think it does give you a glimpse into like the reality of what really is happening.
Mhm.
Little baby ego death. I mean, I've heard Pat Metheny talk about that a lot, where like he talks about because he's someone that like has checked his boxes of
Right.
like shed.
Right.
You know, he knows how the guitar works, but he was saying the thing that he focuses on a lot is trying to like take himself out of it and really look top down and just be like, what would I want a guitar player to sound like right now?
Mm,
So yeah, it's like it's the same thing. Like you kind of
yeah.
end up in the same place, but it's like it for some reason like it's you're not holding on as tight.
Yeah, it was. I see what you mean. It was so strange. I was just kind of tripping. I don't know. I was just in the zone, maybe, but like
Yeah.
it was weird. Like, and that happens to me sometimes at gigs, like when you're really feeling it. But like, I don't know. It was just interesting. It's funny how you were talking about that though. But yeah, I don't know. That's cool, man. Well, that's tight, dude. Like this is the juicy stuff. I love it. This is
Yeah.
nice. Um, so I know you really from Matt. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, when's the last time you saw Matt?
Honestly, it's been a second. Like I don't think I've seen him since he had his kid.
Oh,
But
okay.
we're also like on very opposite
Opposite.
ends
Yeah, I was gonna
of the
say.
LA metropolitan area.
That's what's crazy
So
about LA is like you're not that far, but you're definitely far. Like in terms of
like
getting there.
yeah, like it's hard when it gets to like because I think we're like probably a solid hour and a half away from each other.
Yeah.
Because I'm like way on like I'm in like Highland Park on the kind of northeast end, closer to like Pasadena. And he's like, wait, what part of town is
I
he? And
think
he's
he's in
like,
Long Beach.
Long Beach. So it's like
That's like opposite ends, right?
down there. That's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
I get you. So how you like LA? How's it been?
man, it's been good. I actually just had like a whole thing where I'm like, do I even want to be here? But I think I do. I think I do want to be here. It's nice because, I was living in Brooklyn before.
Okay.
In Brooklyn, you can't turn off like the grind of it.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
speak to that because you were talking about New York. Like, what was that like? You seemed like you weren't really into.
I love New York dearly,
Okay.
but there are some days when you want to be functioning on a little bit of a lower energy level.
Mm.
And I could not, make part of this is who I was in that moment and like my relationship with anxiety and tension while I was there, which it was a pretty tense time for me just with life. So
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely has part of the framing. But I felt like it was just like everything had built in, everything was like under tension.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to Trader Joe's, it's like you get in the line to check out when you walk in the front door. And then you go through all the aisles because the line's so long and you just shop in the checkout line.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So it's like, then I'm like, I have my guitar and my pedal board.
That's
And I'm like,
such a good
this is like the
example.
only time I could get like bread. And then, because it's like there, you could go to like the bodega and get bread, but then like the options are limited.
Right.
Or like going like, I remember I had to see, it was like some random specialist I needed to see for something. And like I had to go on this grueling, like it was so hot. It was in the summer. I had to go, I was sweating on the subway to like go and get like, it was like to get an MRI like way up like
Right.
north and come back and like everything was fine.
It's just a
But
mission.
it was like just this huge, it was already like kind of a stressful thing to go
Yeah.
through. And then it was just the process
That
of
on
everything
top of it,
was
yeah.
so grindy. And like I was really like lucky, fortunate that I was there when Uber first started. So I could, if I was like fried, I could get home for $7.
Mm.
Just so subsidized.
I see.
Now, I don't know if I could do it now.
I
But
get you.
yeah, it was a lot. And it was like you'll play with the best musicians you've ever played with, but like we were all just kind of stuck in the wedding grind.
Mm-hmm.
Which was true in that moment. Now it's like they're all doing crazy, amazing things. Like all the singers I used to do wedding gigs with, like are with uh like the Killers and like what was the other band? Hosier and like all
Oh,
this
wow.
Alan Stone and like all this crazy shit.
Crazy.
So I think it took a there's a slightly higher barrier of entry into like that type of gig when you're in New York.
Yeah.
Um and it was like I got sick of living in that small of a space with roommates.
Yeah.
So I was like living in New York for 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually used to stay in this house when I would come and visit for like sessions or for NAM or whatever.
Right.
And they called me and they're like, hey, like we have a roommate that's like only going to be here for 6 more months and she's like moving in with her boyfriend partner. Um, would you maybe want to move in? And I was just like,
Perfect opportunity.
let's do it. Why
Right.
not? Because I was already starting to do a little bit more of pop music.
Okay.
And then yeah, I just like kind of ended up like every time I'd fly over, I'd bring an extra guitar or two and then just leave it at the house. And like yeah, it
That's
was a very
sick.
slow move.
That's cool though. Sometimes that's the best.
Yeah, but I really like LA because that same energy that is very like nutrient dense in New York,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't turn off. You can kind of turn off in LA.
Mm. But it's
Like I
still
can have a
there.
crazy packed day where I'm driving all around town. I have that like, oh, I'm like really grinding right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I want to like clear my schedule and just like drive 20 minutes and see a waterfall, I can do that, which
Right.
is amazing.
I get you. Yeah, that's the Cali kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get you, man. That's cool. That's super good, man. That's tight.
Yeah.
Well, so LA's good. That's sick. What's I heard Blue Whale's coming back.
I think it's safe to say it's
That's the
confirmed.
rumor. Rumor is.
I mean, they got approval from the city, which was the
Oh.
big thing.
Okay.
Because the last thing I heard for a while was that they had this big town hall meeting, and they're like, basically the city council was like, this is great. We love that everyone's supporting it, but like, what are you going to do about parking? Like, there are all these
Oh,
logistic things that like we need to make sure are okay. And I didn't hear anything for months.
hmm.
But apparently, like in the next couple months, it's supposed to like be up and at it. I don't really know the exact
Sick.
timeline, but Blue Whale's coming back. I also hear I've been hearing a lot of stuff about Blue Note Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. Why isn't there a one in LA?
I don't know. There's one in Napa. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. I
um,
never thought about that.
yeah. So hopefully, I feel like LA might start to become a little bit more of a jazz hub with like Catalina, Blue
Wow,
Note,
that's cool,
Blue
man.
Whale. Rest in peace, ETA. That was a really big loss, but
Wow. So that's good news then. That's really cool.
yeah,
It's funny, man, because like, for the longest time, when I was like really learning, like trying to learn guitar and play, it's like, especially people around me that weren't like musicians, you like trying to explain it, like, why? So you play jazz? Or like, I don't understand. Like, what? Like, isn't that like, no one listens to that really? It's like, man, I don't know, man. I feel like the more people than ever before are listening to, and it's not even just jazz, whatever you want to call it, but it's like more
yeah.
people are listening to everything than ever before, like with the internet.
My hope is that there's going to be even a bigger resurgence in music that is tracked live and performed live, because that's the only, or I don't want to say the only, but one of the few like sub parts of music that AI can't really touch.
Mm-hmm. I see what you
Just to
mean.
know that like someone's like in the same way that like, we love Tame Impala, and a lot of times people love Tame Impala because it's so analog and they know the process of how it's made and they know it's made by this one dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think, I don't know, like listening to a Bad Bad Not Good record and knowing that they all tracked it in the same room together is going to become more and more valuable because it's going to
Yeah.
become rare.
I actually I share that same opinion with you, and I've kind of been saying that about like live music, just going and seeing, Horace's band play is going to be sick. So it's like that's going to be way different than, and you can't really replicate that. And if anything, people are going to want that even more. It's going to become that much more valuable.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that we're going to see this interesting, like, war on the middle class of performance music where there's going to be like the chaperones, there's going to be the Taylor Swifts that are doing like the pop production thing and like, have like the redundancy rig and all the tracks and all that stuff. And no shame on that
Mm-hmm.
because it's a great way to do it. It's a great way to put on a really sick show.
Yeah, and it's its own
And
thing.
then, but these are kind of like a little bit more in the middle, like stuff that like is really polished but doesn't really hit as hard is gonna end up like kind of creating this vacuum where I'm hoping like more bands like Khruangbin or Bad Bad Not Good or like Julian Lage Trio. Like I saw when I saw Julian in New York, he sold out Webster Hall with the Bad Plus.
Wow.
It was like an over 1,000 cap room or something. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
I see what you mean
that
though.
gives that gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. I mean, yeah, and it's and it's like, look at what we're doing right now. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, wild.
I love it, dude. Well, I think that's cool, man. I mean, I'm just glad that it's funny because I'm glad I found those pictures because it's funny how much time has kind of passed and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, it's as they say, just goes by faster and faster, which
Yeah, that's
is
kind of crazy. Wow, when you like really start to really
yeah,
see it.
but it's not any less fun. That's the good part.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it's cool that you're doing cool shit. I'm glad that you're killing it, and I'm glad we get to catch up. Matt,
Yeah,
wait,
man.
Matt wanted me to ask you. He said, ask him. Wait, what did he say? He said, ask him about the time you forgot your guitar. Does that sound right?
Oh yeah, that was actually at Kiefer's house.
Wait, I don't know what this is.
Like
Tell me this
we
story.
we were leaving like it was like we were leaving super early in the morning and we had two cars and I like set my guitar in the pile of stuff that was going to the guitar or sorry, the car.
Hmm.
And then like I went outside, I took some stuff out and then I came back, the guitar was gone. So I was like, okay, it just got thrown into the car. I didn't realize that someone had like moved it into the corner to get like the drums under it first.
Okay.
So then like we didn't dummy check,
Oh, yeah, the dummy
and
check.
I left my Victor Baker
Oh, I got to get
at
Victor. I keep
at
forgetting.
at Kiefer's house when he was living with Paul Castelluzzo,
Right.
and who's making sick music these days.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and we got like an hour out, and I had to borrow one for the clinic we were doing at this college, and then came back and got it. That was so embarrassing. I have not done that since. I can't believe I totally forgot about that.
Oh man, you know what's funny is I've only forgotten my guitar maybe once or twice, like going to a gig and driving, and like, all right, and then you do the dummy check in your mind as you're driving, and then you look back and you're like, oh shit, I've only done that like once or twice, but like I caught it pretty quick. But that's great. That's just straight up like, when did you notice when you got there?
We were like halfway there. And then I think like Kiefer called Matt and he's like, "Hey, is this Horace's guitar here?" And I was just like, "I thought it was in the other car."
It's like a super nice Victor Baker guitar too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah. I think it's in the other room, but
That's so funny, dude. That's great. I got to get Victor on. I haven't seen him in a while. He's been.
oh yeah, because he lives down in your part.
Yeah,
now.
he's down here. I just never see him because I don't know. I need to make more time. I need to go see what up. With
Does
that
he
guy.
play around town too?
Yeah, he
or?
does. I see him playing. I just never get to like. I don't know. And it's not like you hang out with other guitar players like at gigs, really. You know what I mean? That's not really a thing. Like you
Yeah,
see
they're the
them.
friends you text, but then you never see.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but I got to get him on we got to chat with him. I haven't seen him in a while, but that's funny. So you straight up forgot your guitar. That's great.
Yeah, dummy check. Everyone listening,
Dude, it's
always
fun.
dummy check.
Honestly, and after gigs, after everything, you got to do the dummy check because
Yeah.
you'll forget. Yeah, that's why you'll be a dummy. That's so funny, dude. You're cracking me up. Well, dude, you're awesome. I have to take my mom to the airport. What time?
Oh,
Oh no, we got some time, but I just want to say thanks for doing this, dude.
thank you for having me.
What else? What like? Where can people find you? What are some? Do we miss anything? Or how about this? What's like some people that are in your circle, or maybe they're not, that you're really into, or you're just like guilty pleasure, or not even that you're guilty. It's something that you love that maybe I wouldn't know, or I don't know. Anything
Ooh.
around you like that comes to mind
Have
immediately?
you checked out this dude McGee?
McGee, no.
MK.GEE.
Okay.
He's doing some really crazy stuff.
Okay.
And definitely making some waves in the LA scene right now.
Okay, hang on. Let me write it down. I'm gonna open it.
Yeah, McGee. Like he made some beautiful music videos. He's an amazing guitar player and singer. He was the dude that produced all the Dijon stuff, if you're familiar with him.
Okay. All right. I got it right here. Sick.
So McGee, worth checking out for sure.
Nice.
Crazy, like out of not center, like sound design stuff. Really interesting choices. I would say another really cool thing is Lizzie McAlpine. Her live band is crazy right now. Lizzie McAlpine. She's an amazing singer-songwriter, beautiful voice, but she just has the most stacked. Mason Stoops, who's a really sick guitar player and music director, producer in LA, he produced her record and put together the band. So it's just like pedal steel, it's pedal steel. He plays guitar, and then there's another person that does like lap steel and guitar. That actually plays with Dijon as well. And then this dude Taylor on piano, and then Remy Moret on drums, and it's just a super rootsy, beautiful guitar parts.
Nice.
Like just
Okay.
dialed.
Heck yeah.
That's a really cool thing. What's another? Let me think of one more cool thing.
Or like, what's like a show or like not music?
Not music thing.
I don't know. I'm just throwing curveballs.
Okay. For the people, this is a real guilty pleasure. There's this YouTube channel called Technology Connections,
Okay.
and it's this dude, I think he's in Ohio, and he just will like break down like how heat pumps work,
Uh-huh.
but like and shit like that, like how your refrigerator works, and
Oh.
but it's like really funny and super dry humor. It's like kind of the same energy as like Good Eats, but but like a little less playful.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, there's just like I'll just end up watching like a 30-minute video on like how thermostats got invented, and I
That's
just
funny.
fully love it so much.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
YouTube. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you, dude. Whenever you're in SD, you better let me know.
Yeah, I was actually just talking with Matt about there was some gig that he wanted to set up down there. So
Okay.
I should text him. I'll text him right now.
Yeah, text
and
him.
see
That'd be
if we
cool.
can find a date for that.
Nice, man. Well, keep doing your thing. People will find you online. I mean, what's your Instagram?
Everything's under at Horace Bray.
Perfect.
Instagram, Twitter, X, email,
Cool.
website, horacebray.com.
All right, sick.
Yeah.
All right,
Bunch
man.
of new albums on the way.
Awesome. That's great. I'll be watching. I'll see him.
How have you been? What have you been up to though? I didn't want to spend like the recorded time being like, no, like tell me like what have you been doing?
Oh, I mean, no, it's cool, dude. I just been working, man. I've been playing gigs. I've been teaching. I got married.
Wow, congrats.
I need to write some stuff. I want to record some stuff. I need to just get on it. I've been making YouTube videos. I've been pissing off the No Minor One crowd, or Minor One, or whatever you want to call it. Just that kind of stuff.
I love the tea. I love it so much.
Honestly, this whole thing is cracking me up because I don't know. This is just like, I learned this all from the church guys. And like,
Oh, yeah.
because I play with all these guys a lot, and like, I don't know. I just, for some reason, like you were kind of talking about guitar epiphanies or just whatever. And like, for a lot of that for me is like from playing with these guys, and it's just the way that they communicate. And like, I kind of applied it to some of the other stuff I do. And like, I don't know, I just started saying it online, and people just around me were just like, it's the most interaction I've ever gotten.
It's, dude, honestly, lean into it because like it just cranks up your engagement.
Yeah, and the whole thing is funny because I just think it's funny, and like, I don't really believe one side or the other. I honestly believe both. That's the whole point of the whole thing. And it's like, but it does help me to like think of the way that I'm hearing stuff. It's just personally what I do. And so and whether people like agree or not agree, I don't really care. The one thing I do like is that like, I feel like more like, dude, I can't tell you how many times I'm at a gig, and like, I happened to be the other day, I went to go see Gilbert at the Shell, and my buddy comes up behind me. He's like, hey, something, No Minor One. Like, that's their intro. I'm just like, dude, you guys are hilarious. Like,
Yeah, no, it's great. It's like definitely one of those like there's no such thing as bad press.
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I just think it's fun. I don't know. I'm just a music nerd, so I think the whole like theory discussion is funny to me.
Well, man, with all of like the adjacent content to that, I think you're bringing such a nice energy into it.
Uh-huh. Cool.
And you definitely, if you for some reason need the reassurance to like keep doing that, like please just fucking keep doing it. It's great. It's super entertaining, really educational, and like all the clips of you playing in it's like fucking sound amazing. So
cool, man. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, and Kiefer kind of gave me a little momentum, like encouragement, because he just called me randomly, and he's like, dude, I'm reading the comments and I'm getting enraged.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're so funny. I'm like, what is it? And we start chatting, and he was in town, and I was like, bro, I need Kiefer on the podcast. Like, come and chat about No Minor. And he's like, dude, what are you doing right now? I was like, bro, I will be at my house in 15 minutes.
That's so rad.
So he came over. I was like, dude, let's do it. This is great. And he's got a great, he's obviously he's got a great energy when it comes to like talking about music. So it's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyways, dude, sick, bro. Keep shredding.
Hey, likewise.
I love it.
We'll cross paths again soon.
All right, man. Definitely. Yeah. Bother Matt. Try and tell him to get your ass.
Yeah,
down
yeah.
there.
I'll text him right now.
He's probably trying to get you at that Lulu's spot.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah. You guys could do a show there. That'd be cool.
Sick.
All right, man. Well, I'll see you around hopefully soon.
Yeah. Catch you later.
See you, bro.